let's say you want to try a video chat. I have some tips for you. Number one, I would pay attention to where you are going to position yourself for your chat. It works best if you put yourself up against a wall. You don't typically want to leave a big empty room behind you because you're just asking for somebody to run in there, run around in the background, dogs, pets, whatever, getting in the way and attracting the attention of all of your students at what's happening in the background as opposed to what's happening with your presentation. You may remember this.
Is how do democracies respond to those scandals?
And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me. My apologies.
What's this going to be for the region?
Speaking of pets and distractions, don't be afraid from time to time to use your family members, your pets, other members in your household as part of your introduction or as part of your weekly check-in. Kids like to see that you're a human being that has real family members and real pets. Plus, nothing else gets somebody to click on something than a cute little puppy. So this is Charlotte. Say hi, Charlotte. We call her Charlie for short. And Charlie has really big ears. Connections. Don't be afraid to do whatever you can to make those personal connections with your students. And what better way to do that than by showing them cute things. Another thing to consider when you are setting up a spot to do your video chat is you want to avoid windows if at all possible. Because if I was to videotape myself in front of a window, it's going to create a lot of glare, and in some cases will even create a weird shadowy effect where I am just a dark shadow instead of the lovely face you see in front of you. So if you are positioning your webcam or your laptop, again, just try to avoid windows, doors that have bright light coming through them when at all possible. One of the hardest things to do is to get in the habit of looking at the camera. So I'm using an iPad to record this, and the camera is right here on the front of that iPad, and it is not right in the center. So I'm tempted to want to look at myself in the camera instead of looking at the camera itself, which is hard to get a hold of or hard to train yourself to do. But students will not see you looking at the camera if you are not facing that direction. Another easy suggestion is I would highly recommend you charge your iPad and plug it in before you do a web chat. Web chatting sucks down battery life really quick. So I would highly recommend you just leave your device plugged in if possible while you are chatting to make sure you're not going to run out of juice halfway through. I would highly recommend that you set expectations for your students up front. Let them know exactly what behaviors you expect of them, what behaviors are not okay. Give them some feedback. A lot of times whenever you go the web chat route, it kind of creates something different than students are used to, and so sometimes there's some wiseacres that will misbehave. So setting expectations up front will help curtail that to make sure that you get whatever it is that you expect. Also, you're going to need to come up with just some simple things. If you want students to ask questions, you need to come up with a way in how you want them to do that. Do you want a whole bunch of kids just to start talking at one time? Do you want them to literally raise their hand or do something, make some gesture or something to let you know that they have a question before you call on them? You also have a chat tool in Google Meet that they can post questions that way if you want. It is also good to mention that as long as you start your Google Meet from your laptop, that you can set it to record that video conference. So I would highly recommend you always start your meets from your laptop, and that you would have it record every single time. Get in the habit of doing it, starting it before you start your chat and students start joining, and then stop it at the end. It does a couple things. Number one, it covers you because it's got a video recording of everything that took place in case something happens. And number two, it will create a video file that it puts in your drive that you could then share out. So if students were unable to participate, or if you just wanted to post some questions and answers that some students were having for other students, you could post those videos out on YouTube or on Google Classroom for students to go back and watch later. Final thoughts. This is going to be something different for most people. This is something that we've never had to do before. We are kind of in uncharted territory here. So things are going to go wrong. There's going to be some times where internet's not cooperating or systems are taking a really long time to respond. That's normal, and you'll just have to be willing to take things as they come and adjust on the fly as needed. So, but again, your students are in the exact same boat. And so it's stressful for them too, not just for you. And so being willing to listen and willing to forgive and to adjust is going to make things work best for all of us.